The Indians, of course, were hoping that this was the final hurdle, that the British, in spite of all the problems, that the British would give independence to Cheddi Jagan.
With the ongoing chaos and violence threatening to wreck plans for peaceful independence, the hopes of a nation rested on the Lancaster House Conference. Prime Minister Cheddi Jagan, who led the People's Progressive Party, or PPP, was popular at home, having won the last 2 elections. Dr. Jagan, a dentist by profession, seemed far from a threatening figure. Records from the day suggest he was personable and honest, and his PPP party spent much of its energies improving the lot of working people. Yet in a letter to Prime Minister Harold Macmillan, Duncan Sands wrote, and I quote, "The sooner we get these people out of our hair, the better." Historian Dr. Spencer Morby from the University of Nottingham says Britain had already tried to achieve that very goal a decade earlier.
Well, Jagan came to power in 1953 as a result of elections. The People's Progressive Party won a victory in those elections, and the Churchill government at the time were the most concerned about Jagan's politics and the anti-colonial nature of his politics. So the history of Jagan is very much connected initially to his removal from power in 1953 after his first election victory.
And that removal was quite dramatic, wasn't it, involving British forces coming all the way over and kicking him out?
The pretext itself was dramatic because the British said that basically there was a plot to burn down Georgetown, which is a city of wooden buildings.
Was there?
There was no plot. And as you say, it was a dramatic intervention. British forces were put ashore and the Jagan government was forcibly removed from power, and eventually Jagan himself was arrested and put in prison for a short period of time.
But 4 years later, the nationalist Jagan was back. With socialist policies, ever popular with the country's Indian majority, he easily won the 1957 election. By then, the British seemed to have decided that the self-proclaimed Marxist was a man they could work with after all. So, what caused this change of mind?
I'm concerned with economic aspects of socialism. And my feeling is that this is the only thing that's going to solve a backward country's problems. And this is where I stand.
Jagan has such a large following within British Guyana that he simply can't be ignored. So his story is quite similar to the story of a lot of the other independence leaders, Nehru in India or Kenyatta in Kenya, who are initially jailed but then are seen as somebody who becomes central to the process of achieving independence.
Yet by the time of the Lancaster House Conference in 1963, Jagan was again out of favour with London. This, despite the fact that the doctor had won another fully democratic election in 1961. The British government seemed determined to ensure that Jagan's PPP wouldn't win another one. It was now backing the doctor's main political rival, opposition leader Forbes Burnham.
Well, by 1963, it became a source of increasing debate within the British government because the Americans are pressing very, very strongly the notion that Cheddi Jagan cannot possibly be allowed to become the president or the leader of an independent British Guyana.